Let's do this thing. Little sync up countdown.
Boy. Okay. There's the old gunslinger.
Hello, welcome back to Out on That Line. And this week we are going to be going over some Grammy predictions, some Grammy thoughts, just some Grammy things. It's a big thing that happens in the music industry every year, it seems. So we're going to talk about it a little bit this week. And I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Alex. Alex, how you doing this week?
Hang on there, Jeff. Let me crack a fresh can of douchebag juice. Oh, yeah.
Do you feel quenched?
Oh, my God. I feel like I have no shirts that have sleeves on them. We are not sponsored by Liquid Death. And I hope that never happens because it sucks.
I thought it was good. I've never had it.
No,
it's not any good?
It's pretty bad.
Okay, well, they're probably not going to sponsor us now.
Mango chainsaw. Hey, no. They will. They will. Listen, Liquid Death. It's nothing personal. If you decide to pay us to advertise, my tune will change so quick you don't even know. I'll never be seen in public without one.
I had heard from everybody that they're good. I mean, it seems like what a gimmick just for some water. You know what I'm saying?
It says murder your thirst. Mango chainsaw.
Mango chainsaw.
Jesus
they do flavors.
They do now. It started out as just here's water in a can.
Does it? Okay, so does it taste more like a mango or more like a chainsaw?
More like a chainsaw, absolutely.
Okay.
It's like you cut into a mango with a chainsaw and then just like licked the blade. It's not pleasant.
I mean, depending on what kind of bar and chain oil you use, I suppose.
Oh, bud. Yeah, you want to get into that? That's a whole separate podcast now.
Just so we call that a little redneck flex, you know.
Sure, you know, a little behind the scenes.
Well, this week, and I don't know, when is the Grammys happening? Like, what is the day?
February something.
Okay, probably not the same night as the Super Bowl, I would guess.
I would have to hope and guess.
So that eliminates the second week of February, I think. So it's got to be either the 1st or 3rd, or it could be the 4th.
February 23rd sticks out in my mind for some reason. I'll be really scared if this is correct, but I'll check while you walk the people in.
Well, what we're going to start with is just, I think a lot of these award shows, and it's not just the Grammys, so we might pick on them a little bit here, maybe a lot. We'll see how this goes. But what we're going to talk about is just kind of how relevant are they at this point, and is it something that's still can be looked upon as the same level of validation if you get nominated or win one as it was in the past? Because it used to be that it was kind of like a king-making or queen-making endeavor. Whoever would win best new artist, whoever might win like best album, things like that. That was always just a big feather that everybody could put in their cap. And I don't know, with the way that streaming has gone, where it's just everybody has access to everything, and a lot of times people don't really step too far outside of their bubble because there's so much music available in the genres that they like. So why would they go that far outside of that? So I feel like things like the Grammys that used to appeal to everybody because everybody heard all those songs on the radio because there was very little other forms of consumption that you could do for music. So I think it used to be a lot more relevant as far as like accelerating an artist's career. But I do think it still remains like as validating if you do win one. I mean, I think it's still a pretty big deal.
Well, the Grammys are, and this is fine that they are this way, but the Grammys, you have to look at them as like it's ceremonial. It's not by a popular vote. So it's not like people like you and me get to really have a say in this. It's not about like the people have spoken and this is the direction we want the labels and the industry and management to go in.
Mhm.
This is kind of being packaged for us. And I don't mean that in a like, I don't care who I piss off in this room full of punks. Like, that you eventually hit a phase where you're like, not liking the Grammys stops feeling like a brave stand. You
Mhm.
just stop caring because it's not for you. It's not for us. We watch
Yeah.
it, but it's a ceremony where people go, you're the next thing. And when we, as you say, put this feather in your cap, that's it.
Mhm.
You're done. You're set. You're in.
Yep. Yeah,
And
and I think
that's business.
and it's I do think it's a cool trophy too. The little,
Sure.
what do you call that thing with the speaker?
Phonograph.
The phonograph. Yes, I should probably know that being the host of a music podcast, but you live and learn, I suppose. But it's, to me, I think there's a lot of times they do, it's the Leo getting the Oscar for The Revenant, it's like, it's the kind of like, we owed you this one sort of thing. So a lot of times you'll see an artist win an award that, not saying they don't deserve to win that award, but I think a lot of times there's somebody else that was more deserving and they're getting it because of some past work that they should have gotten more credit for and didn't because they got beat that year. I think the more that if you continue to allow your decisions to be based on that, you're going to have to do it more and more in the future, because that's nothing but a snowball effect on like, oh, well, we owe him one. I guess this is his year, but maybe there was two other albums that were pretty damn good that year that you're now got to put on the back burner and like catch up with those artists down the road. I think that kind of taints how much value like kind of the general public puts in those now versus before. Because why would you take this very small selection of music when you have the literal anything that's ever been made, you have the access to somewhere, somehow? If you have an internet connection, you can listen to whatever you want whenever you want to listen to it.
Well, and the thing is, you do have a lot of value, I will say, in the idea of presenting nominees. So, to your point,
Mm-hmm.
narrowing it down to one thing is super limiting. But if you present like the 10 nominees for that category, you're saying these
Mm-hmm.
are the 10 albums that we generally, based on a number of criteria, popularity, notoriety, whatever you want it to be, number of
Mm-hmm.
album sales, uniqueness of the artist, social media presence, like whatever you put into it when you're packaging these fucking people, like just just be honest with the audience, and acting like this has anything to do with what we want is like simply not true.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, the coolest thing you can do is just give us those albums. Let us know stuff we might
Mm-hmm.
want to check out, because it is either the like shameful make good, like we haven't given Florence and the Machine anything in 12 fucking years. I don't know. So they do that, and someone gets snubbed and blah blah blah, and it's just patently stupid. But then also
Mm-hmm.
you have like the absolute vicious rate of turnover and like who's new. It might be like BB Rexa one year, and then
Mm-hmm.
Olivia Rodrigo, and then Olivia Rodrigo's working at Taco Bell the next year. Like
Yeah.
it's insane. It's a buzz. It's kind of like a mango chainsaw.
See how good you are at product placement. They should sponsor us.
They're coming around. I have a
that
feeling.
was beautifully done.
Thanks.
But I think this year, just like last year, there were reasons to get excited. There were definitely some nominees for some categories that I got very excited about. My guys in Turnstile, this band kind of has just taken over my life basically. They're fantastic, and they got nominated in I think 3 categories that I just looked at. So there's definitely some cool moments there. I don't know how validated they feel. I'm sure they do, but I feel like I discovered them pretty late. They'd already had a few albums out before that, but knowing that I got into them and then now they're nominated for a Grammy is like pretty cool. And that part of the experience, I think, is why I continue to come back, because I do have a good time wondering, are they going to win? And I think this year they have a real chance, but I'm sure I told myself about that last year with Olivia Rodrigo with every single category, so I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I think it's exciting to look at some of the names, and some are very exciting, that are nominated for these categories. And I think if maybe one or two fall that way, where some lesser known people get those awards, I think that's when you start to add that credibility back into the whole thing with the Grammys, is if you start making sure that you like, is this the most popular song or is this the best choice in this category? And a lot of times they'll pick the most popular song, even if it isn't necessarily the best one. It doesn't have a great message or something like that. But it's just, I think I look through it and I get excited. Kendrick Lamar is nominated, Wet Leg is nominated. I think there's so many good things to be excited about with this one too.
Well, should we just get into some of the categories?
Let's do it. Let's do it. So, I mean, we can bounce around here. So, like when we were looking through, deciding kind of what categories we wanted to talk about with this, we were just going through and seeing if there was anything we thought would really kind of generate a discussion. So we looked at it, and there were nominees for like best pop vocal album, which is like ABBA, Adele, Coldplay, Lizzo, Harry Styles, and like none of which got us going that much. So I think it got down to, the first one that I think we kind of piqued our ears a little bit was the best dance and electronic recording. Now the nominees for this one is Break My Soul by Beyonce, Rosewood by Bonobo, shout out friend of the pod Mitch, Don't Forget My Love, Diplo and Miguel, I'm Good by David Guetta and BB Rexa, an Out on That Line alum, Intimidated by K Tronada featuring Her. Her is fantastic. I haven't listened to a ton of K Tronada, but Her is fantastic.
K Tronada is really great. That's what perked me up when you brought that. Are there more people? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut
Yes,
you off.
one more, On My Knees by Rufus du Sol.
Okay.
So, that was the first one where I looked at, and this one, I think Break My Soul seems like the kind of obvious choice they're going to go with. But then I kind of looked down through, and it's like that I'm Good song was everywhere. And then K Tronada featuring Her is like the artist pick, and I think every category has some level of that, where it's like got the obvious one, the biggest pop star, whatever it is, and then you have the song that's like actually good.
Yeah, and the thing is, I haven't heard the K Tronada or the Her and the Her collaboration at all. Had no idea it existed, let alone was
Yeah.
nominated for a Grammy. I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Oh, K Tronada, I'm a human Wikipedia for their work." I like what I've heard. I've listened to like quite a bit. I like K Tronada. Her is fucking awesome. Super underrated guitarist.
Yes.
So it's like, peanut butter and chocolate are finally together. Like, it's right up my alley. So I got to go listen to that song.
Yeah. So
But yeah, what's the most obvious choice? Kind of Beyonce.
It's Beyonce. Yeah. And who knows? Who knows if that's going to be that. But then we looked at like, we got kind of excited about the singles there, but then the best dance electronic music album was Beyonce, Bonobo, Diplo, Odessa, and Rufus du Sol. And the only one I've listened to is the one by Beyonce. So like I couldn't really say anything about that category.
Yeah, well.
As you go down through, let's see here, we get to best rock performance. We've got in this category nominated Bryan Adams, Beck, the Black Keys, Brandy Carlisle, Idols, fantastic, Ozzy Osbourne featuring Jeff Beck, and Turnstile. And obviously, I want to see Turnstile win this, but you're going against the Canadian Britney Spears with Bryan Adams. You're going against the Black Keys. You're going against Ozzy Osbourne featuring Jeff Beck, who just passed away. And I don't want to make light of that situation because he was phenomenal, and should be something we, maybe look at something he did for work at some point on this podcast, or maybe, but he was a phenomenal. I'm very familiar with him. Phenomenal guitar player, like one of the best ever. And he literally just passed away. So that's the sort of thing where the Grammys like love doing that kind of stuff, where it's like the posthumous award, or posthumous. That's one of those words that I've read it, but I don't really know how it's supposed to be pronounced.
I believe it's posthumous, but
posthumous. Okay, well, the more you know. You folks are watching me learn something every single podcast. So that's one, like, obviously I'd love to see Idols or Turnstile win that, but Ozzy with Jeff Beck. I mean, Jeff Beck just went. Seems obvious.
It's obvious, and not in a cynical way. Like, that's an example of the make good, and a way to honor somebody, a posthumous award. So it makes all the sense in the world if, like you brought up before the show, if they haven't locked the voting. Like if the nominees are in or the picks are in and it's done deal, then but if they I mean, obviously they have time to wiggle out of it. They could have logged something. What am I
Yeah.
saying? They could have logged.
Like,
There's
we're
no
not.
honor system with the Grammys. This is
Yeah.
all just like a rush of insight. I'm like, what the hell am I saying?
Yeah, you want to talk about a stolen election? This is going to be the one.
Stop the Steal, brought to you by Liquid Death. Get fucked by death.
But get this. So Turnstile nominated for Best Rock Performance. Okay. They're also nominated for Best Metal Performance for a different song. Now, I could see how you would say that Turnstile is maybe, I can't even say metal. There might be like some little metal parts in their songs, maybe, but it's like very just like hardcore punk. There's like some Afro beat in there too, but it's like not really metal as far as I'm would consider it to be. So it's just, I don't know what the thinking is there that they're nominated for two separate categories with two separate songs that neither of which I think fit in either category that they're in. But it's just the Grammys being the Grammys. It's
Well, it's
just
all
Jethro Tull being nominated for Best Metal Performance.
Lil Nas X being shut out of country because he
Yeah.
grinded on Satan. Like,
Yeah.
it's fucking stupid.
It's
That's the classic Grammys stupid shit that
mhm.
they do that makes no sense. I guess good for Turnstile, but they're not, like you said, they're not really metal. And how come two in different like what, who? It sounds like they just like plucked a heroin addict and were like, make up
Mhm.
the rules for the Grammys.
Yeah, they also Turnstile's not nominated for Album of the Year for Best Rock Album.
I don't know.
I don't understand. They're nominated for like every category in that same group in that genre, but not Best Rock Album.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who
Jeff, ours is
knows?
not to ask why the Grammys does what the Grammys does.
But we had mentioned Wet Leg before. They are nominated for Best Alternative Music Performance as well as Best Alternative Music Album. And I would love to see them win one or both of those, preferably the album, because I thought that album was fantastic. And none of the other ones on there, I haven't listened to the AAS album, but none of the other ones on there, and I can say two of them I did not like. So that was going to be by default, but it also was a fantastic album. The R&B section, I read through that, and nothing really overly exciting or that I'm that familiar with. Read through the rap category, Kendrick Lamar getting his flowers, at least with nominations right now. I would assume that it's going to be between him and Pusha T for the best rap album. Hopefully it goes to Kendrick Lamar. I think he's one of those like Grammy darling sort of artists where when he puts out a work, it's obviously always good anyway. Like they're not just like handing him an award for nothing, but he's one of those ones that I feel like at this point has become like a safe choice for awards because they're like, oh, everybody knows he's really good, so we can safely give this one to him and not piss anybody off.
Yeah, I mean that you talk about another no-brainer because his shit's actually good, so there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing really political
Yeah.
about giving Kendrick Lamar an award in a year he's up for it.
Yeah.
Like he consistently delivers. It's
Mm-hmm.
good. It's actually artistic. Everybody loves it. It's the shit that they love. It's the slam
Yeah.
dunkerino.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it makes sense because he's just so good. He's so
Yeah,
fantastic.
fuck yeah.
And then the last category that had some things that we wanted to mention here is the country genre. So one glaring omission in all of this in the country genre is zero nominations for Tyler Childers, for Sturgill Simpson, for really anybody in country that I like to listen to. The nominations, I guess, like Maren Morris, that was a good one. Her album was nominated, but overall, pretty disappointed in the country category nominations.
The Maren Morris album was good, not great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how something like that boxes out Tyler Childers unless Tyler Childers is far more obscure than you or I know, but we know that not to be the
Yeah,
case.
I tried to get tickets to his concert.
Same here, up here,
Yeah,
Thompson's Point. Nope, no fucking going.
no
Sold
chance.
out like that. So I that's baffling. And then who else is in the category? There's like some girl I'd never heard of.
So best country album. This is the only one we really need to talk about because it's the only one that really matters in this genre, I think, this year. Luke Combs with his album Growing Up, Miranda Lambert, Palomino. Haven't listened to that.
No.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's pretty good. She generally is pretty decent. Ashley McBride, not familiar with her whatsoever. Maren Morris, we did that album. Go check that episode out. I think we were both like fairly positive on it, but it wasn't, it wasn't a barn burner by any means.
Right.
And then Willie Nelson. So this is another one. This is a pretty easy choice for like a legacy pick. Like let's give Willie one more.
If that's what you want, but I guess out of everybody listed there, Maren Morris makes the most sense to
Mm-hmm.
me. It's not better than Can I Take My Hounds to Heaven?
No,
Sorry, it's
no.
just not. And I think that's just a weird, it's not like we're talking about, some super obscure
Mm-hmm.
thing over here. If we were like, why the fuck wasn't
I don't know.
the White Buffalo nominated? It's like not an argument, but with this, it makes no sense. Something's going on.
Yeah, and I wondered maybe if it got nominated for like a kind of much smaller category, like gospel category or something, because there's definitely not just country music on that. Can I Take My Hounds to have an album? But it's nominated nowhere, and I don't know. Maybe my taste isn't as good as I think it is, but I would like to think most people that like country music listening to that album are going to enjoy that album. It was fantastic.
Yeah. No, it was great. And
Yeah.
like maybe just to throw the whole category off, they'll give it to fucking Ashley Buttermilk or whatever the
Yeah.
girl's name was.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Oh man. Okay. Well, what do you say we get into the big one? So we're going to talk about best new artist. We're going to talk about song of the year. We're going to talk about album of the year. We're going to talk about record of the year. So these are the big ones. These are the ones that everybody wants to win. So where would you like would you like to start at best new artist? Would you like
Yeah.
to start it? Okay, let's do it. So
Yes.
I'll read you off the nominees here. And let's see. Oh, let me get back down. There we go. Okay, so best new artist. First one, Anita, Omar Apollo, Domi and JD Beck, Mooney Long or Muni Long. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. Samara Joy, Lotto, Maniskin. I'm gonna butcher this, but I'm gonna try Toby Ingwigwe. I'm not sure.
Can't help you.
Yeah, I don't know. You correct me in the comments, like if you can tell me how to pronounce that correctly. I think I got it, but I don't know. Molly Tuttle and Wet Leg.
Oh, well, the hard pick is obviously Wet Leg. And I think they have a good chance. I think people are more into Wet Leg than maybe they care to admit. Not that it's a shameful thing. They just don't talk about it. But I feel
No.
like they've got a lot of like, it's one of those fly under the radar, head full of
Mhm,
steam kind of things. I could see Wet Leg getting it. The only other one I've heard of is Omar Apollo, pretty
mhm.
good, but I don't know. I don't know any of those other people.
So the ones that I like immediately thought had a chance, and unfortunately, I don't think Wet Leg has a chance at this one. I would love to see it because I think of all these, obviously, they're my favorite one. But Omar Apollo is a big deal. Like that guy is a big deal. So there's like international artists are always have existed obviously, but I feel like the ease of access of whatever music you want to listen to, and maybe also me being in Texas and hearing a lot more like Latin music, I will tell you what, like Anita, Omar Apollo, who's the other one on here, and Lotto's not like Latin music but a rapper, but is also like getting very very popular. And I will tell you what, like they are huge, huge. Maybe not like Bad Bunny huge yet, but like Anita is massive. Like millions and millions and millions of followers on social media. Same thing with Omar Apollo. Like Wet Leg is phenomenal. And I think they deserve like some recognition for that. But I think they're going honestly against a couple of juggernauts in this category here.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll take your word for it because
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, You hear way more of this. I hear way more of
Mhm.
"Ship it up to Boston."
Yeah,
Around these
right.
parts here in the salty frozen north on the coast.
We should do like a live Twitch stream or something like that where we just listen to the entire Dropkick Murphys discography.
Oh my god, I'll drink for that one.
We might die.
I'll hammer
Because
whiskeys.
I honestly I have no idea how many more albums they've come out with since the one that we listen to all the time, that the Warriors Code
The
one.
Warriors Code. They've got a
Yeah.
couple more. Actually, the last one, Tanner and I listened to it on the way down to a friend's wedding. We
Mhm.
listened to the most recent Dropkick, and I remember thinking it was pretty good. I mean,
Okay.
they definitely sound like, 45-year-old men who are still doing it like,
Yeah.
"I'm 20 and I'll kick you in the nuts." Like, you know, it's the same shtick. The vessels have changed, but that's okay. The music's
Well,
still good.
they have to make sure that the guys that are their age and older listening to them still feel young and spry
That's
when
right.
they're at the concerts, you know? That's what they gotta make sure happens.
Yeah, don't steal their joy, guys.
Well, let's move right along to song of the year. And like last year, we went all in depth about the difference between like song of the year and record of the year. And like, I just don't care to explain that again. So like, go look it up
Well,
if you care.
it's an easy explanation. Song of the year is like the song itself on its artistic value, and record is everybody, the producer, the
Mhm.
writer, the performer, the technician that mixed it. That's the difference.
Well, there you have it, folks. Now we do know the difference. And next year, we won't be explaining it. This was your
Yeah.
last chance, the last time we're doing it. So you learn before next year because we're not telling you.
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, song of the year is A B C D E F U by Gail, and Sarah Davis is a writer on there. Dave Pittenger. I'm gonna just try to pick out the actual artist that everybody knows that did the song. About Damn Time. This one was Massive by Lizzo. All Too Well, the 10-minute version, Taylor Swift. As It Was, Harry Styles. Bad Habit by Steve Lacy, Break My Soul by Beyonce, Easy on Me by Adele, God Did, the DJ Khaled song with everybody on it, The Heart Part 5 by Kendrick Lamar, and Just Like That by Bonnie Raitt.
I mean, clearly it's Bonnie Raitt.
I mean, obviously, let's move on.
I it's got to be Harry Styles or Adele, right? Because I feel like Beyonce, we're skipping ahead a
Yeah.
little bit. Beyonce's shit, I think, is forthcoming.
Mhm.
So, in terms of the best song, As It Was big.
Mhm.
My one of my favorite bands, Prep, got really big on TikTok because they covered As It Was and
Yeah.
people started using it. Um, so yeah, that song's kind of a juggernaut. And then Adele, you can give her anything anytime, and the white women will cry in droves. But I think you kind of have two slam dunks there. I don't know what else you do. I liked Bad Habit. I like the Steve Lacy song, but
I think we both know which way this is going to go,
yeah.
and it's going to go to Taylor Swift.
No, no fucking way. Not for some
Yeah.
10-minute song on like the 19th. She's like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. She releases a new album every day.
Well, if people keep buying them for whatever reason, like it's the same songs they were before, folks. She just re-recorded them, and you now she's sold that album twice.
Uh,
Like that is like used car dealerships do that kind of stuff where you go like you buy a car on some crazy high interest rate, you can't pay it, they come repo it, then they sell that car again, but you still owe the money on it. That's what she's doing with her albums. Like I see right through it. I don't know why everybody else doesn't.
it's because she's a beautiful angel.
She got to you.
She got to me.
That sweater, I knew it.
I just have a little cozy mug of sleepy time tea and I stare out at the lake. I'm sitting at the end of a dock and it's autumn and all the leaves are drifting down into the water. And I just sit and think about the cutest boy in school. And it's just such a cozy feeling. And that's Taylor Swift.
It describes it perfectly. That's exactly how I feel when I hear that music.
And to the people that like that kind of thing, that's the kind of thing they like.
Yeah.
I've given her a lot of fair shakes. I'm not going to dunk on her. She is what she is.
But I would love for it to be either one of the other two. Either one would be fine. Literally anything else on this list. Even that ABCDEFU song was like everywhere too. That was a huge on TikTok. huge, but so was About Damn Time. I mean, it could go any number of ways. I unfortunately think it's going to go Taylor Swift, but I would be happy if it went literally anywhere else. If they didn't even give it out, that would be fine.
Sure. I'm calling as
Yeah,
it was.
that's fair. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to say About Damn Time. We're going to make it interesting.
Okay.
I hope, because I just don't want it to be all too well, and I definitely don't want to be right about it if it is. So
Yeah,
we're gonna say
smarter.
About Damn Time. Yeah. So moving on to, oh man, the long list here. Album of the year. So blast from the past here. ABBA came out with an album called Voyage. Maybe they pronounce it Voyage. I don't know. They're European. Adele with 30. Bad Bunny. Un Verano Sin Ti. And I probably did not pronounce that very well, but we're going to move on to Beyonce Renaissance. Mary J. Blige. Good Morning Gorgeous. Brandy Carlisle in These Silent Days. Coldplay with Music of the Spheres. Kendrick Lamar with Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Lizzo with Special. Harry Styles with Harry's House.
Okay. We're going to go by process of elimination. Get Harry's House out of there.
Yes.
Get the
See
Lizzo
ya.
out of there.
See ya.
Get the Kendrick out of there because I think he's going to get his in other categories.
See ya.
Chunk it. Who the fuck was it? Little River Band? You said someone.
Coldplay.
Coldplay. Exactly.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Okay.
Little River Band, Coldplay, whatever. Fucking dump it. Get them out of there. Who else is left by that point?
Brandy Carlisle, Mary J. Blige, Beyonce, Bad Bunny, Adele, and ABBA.
I'm gonna say dump ABBA. Obviously, you guys,
Yeah.
you tried. You showed up. Mary J. Blige, dump it. I'm sure it's great,
Yeah.
but I don't think this is that kind of situation.
Yep.
And who's that other? Who else did you say?
So we
Brandy
still
Carlisle.
have,
Brandy Carlisle, dump it. Sorry, girl.
yeah. So really, so what we're looking at is Adele, Bad Bunny, or Renaissance.
I'm gonna go Dark Horse Bad Bunny, but it's probably gonna be Renaissance.
So I'm also gonna say that I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be Renaissance, because Bad Bunny, like when I was talking about Anita and Omar Apollo being huge, you want to talk about huge. Bad Bunny is massive, like stadium sellout. Tickets go for crazy prices on secondary market, like Taylor Swift levels of hard to get your hands on a ticket. You know what I mean? Like that is the level that he's at. And I don't know how much like the international success plays into the awards here. That's always the thing, because that's what would hold back Anita and Omar Apollo from winning here, is that they're, if you go down to like any Spanish speaking country, they are the biggest person going. They're the biggest one there. But if you're here and you go to like the northern part of the US, there's probably a lot of people that have never heard of them at all. So it's like, how much does that international success weigh into these awards that take place in America? Even though it's international artists that are part of this whole thing, we'll see how that plays out, because I do think overall, like international success, like Bad Bunny is not too far off of where Beyonce's at. Like that dude is huge right now. Adele has been huge for years. Like people avoid releasing albums in the same year as Adele if they know she's coming out with one, because they know it's going to do bonkers numbers, just like Beyonce. So it's like, I don't know, those are three heavy hitters. But I think it's going to be Bad Bunny if they take into account like current status, like international success. I think it's going to be him.
I think you also have to take into account the fact that the Beehive are psychos. Beyonce people are fucking psychos. They'll find a way to get Snickers to stop sponsoring the Grammys if Beyonce doesn't win. Like they'll do it.
Yep.
We as a society live with a loaded gun to our heads, and it is Beyonce fans.
It is the Beehive.
And Taylor Swift fans are holding butterflies up to our heads. You just can't get away from it. But I truly believe like Beyonce is a wagon. Like Bad Bunny is great. And like even I know who he is, and like I like his music and I see his impact. Take the point on all that. I think if it's a year Beyonce's up, they're gonna solidly go Beyonce.
Yeah, and this could be a thing. I'm gonna stick with the Bad Bunny pick, but I can already like, I'm already backpedaling in my head. I have to make a firm stance here. because I can just see this being like, once it's the Grammys night and I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, this is so obviously Beyonce. You know what I like when it gets to that award, or it could be so obviously Adele, and I'll be like, why did I even think Bad Bunny had a chance?
I'm sticking with Bad Bunny Dark Horse. I'd be
Okay,
really
well, let's
psyched if
do
Bad
it.
Bunny
Let's
won.
ride. Well, what are we gonna do if we win that one? If we get that right?
We're gonna do the Bad Bunny album.
That's a deal. I think that's a deal if I've ever heard one.
Here, seal
Well,
it in blood.
sealed.
Perfect.
And then the last category we're going to discuss this evening is record of the year. So this one is, I believe, going to be a lot of the same of the nominees for song of the year. But it's Don't Shut Me Down by ABBA, Easy on Me by Adele, Break My Soul by Beyonce, Mary J. Blige with Good Morning Gorgeous, Brandy Carlisle featuring Lucius, You and Me on the Rock, Doja Cat with Woman, Steve Lacy with Bad Habit, Kendrick Lamar, The Heart Part 5, Lizzo, About Damn Time, and Harry Styles, As It Was.
It's Beyonce or Kendrick. It's Beyonce or Kendrick, and I'm going to say Beyonce. I think Beyonce is a wagon. I think I personally could take her or leave her, you know? Never, Destiny's Child, I fucking loved. And there's a lot of early Beyonce that I loved. But after a while, I just kind of fell out of the loop. But even I know enough to know that if you come at the queen, you best not miss. And I don't even intend to come at the queen.
What if Beyonce goes like bing, bang, boom, like record of the year, album of the year, song of the year?
I'd say it's entirely plausible. I think she'll get 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I think she goes record of the year and album of the year.
Yep.
I think song of the year goes to someone else.
Mhm.
But I think Beyonce's going to get some hardware. Hopefully Wet Leg gets some hardware, but we'll see how much that international success, because if that doesn't really play into it, because Maneskin also Dark Horse, like didn't they win Eurovision?
Oh, that I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's why they were like famous in the first place, because they won Eurovision. Is that the big like songwriting competition they do? Is that what it's called?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know someone that did that.
Really?
Yeah. I was in Don Giovanni with a woman named Gisela Larou's daughter. She was an Icelandic soprano, and she was on Eurovision years later.
Wow. Like
Yes.
representing Iceland or trying to be the one to represent Iceland?
I one or the other. Either way.
Wow.
She was on TV.
Okay.
Icelandic TV. That's more times than I've been on Icelandic TV. Just saying.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's a grand total of 0 between the two of us. Yeah, it's a race. It's a race. Okay, whoever gets more of these correct gets to be the first one to go on Icelandic TV. How about that?
Done.
Done.
I bet it's easier than you think. You can get to Iceland from Boston like it's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful over there this time of year.
So fuck it. One of us is going.
I think isn't it kind of always the same? Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think it's the Taylor Swift song of countries.
Yeah, and you just eat like fermented fish, stuff like that. It sounds awesome.
Sweaters
sounds great.
And kippers.
It sounds like exactly what I want to do. Let's do it. What do you say we do a little housekeeping here? So, folks, make sure that you come back. We're gonna do the show after do the Grammys recap. We're gonna go back over our picks. You can also send us your picks. So if there's categories you've taken a look through and you think you know who's going to win, tell us. Maybe during that recap episode, if you made some good points, we'll go over what you send us. Depending how many people send stuff to us, we might just, no matter what you say, we might just mention you. So make sure you come back for that. But in the meantime, we're going to have a few episodes. So we're going to talk about who knows what. I guess we're going to figure it out. But next week, we're going to have a new one for you. It's going to be an album. We're going to talk about that after this show. This is the same problem we had why we didn't do an album this week. We just sprung the Grammy recap.
Such a good sell. You're like, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Well, we don't know it. Why don't you just tell me the name of the movie you want to see?
You got to think on your feet when in the podcast game house.
It's tough. Video changed the game.
It did. Oh man. Well, make sure you come back for that. We're going to have a few more albums for you before the Grammys recap episode, but hopefully we were right about every single thing. But come back and see. Tell us what you want to hear for albums. Tell us if you have any thoughts on those Grammys. Make sure you subscribe down below. And Alex, where are they going to find the place to subscribe?
Well, I think there's only one place you can go for premium video content such as this. If you're listening to the sound of my voice and you are within reason, why don't you go to youtube.com/C/out on that line, where you will find reaction videos. You will find the podcast, now video, a brand new day in 2023. We have the singles series. We have On the Record. We have shit coming out that you don't even know about. And that's not a bluff. But you'll only realize that if you go to youtube.com/C/out on that line and subscribe today.
And if you're already on YouTube, make sure you subscribe down below. If you're listening to this anywhere else you get podcasts, and you can still get us anywhere else you get podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Apple, whatever you want to listen to it on, we're there. We're also on this YouTube. Subscribe down below so you get notified every week when we release these videos. And that's twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week if Alex is feeling particularly ambitious that week. But you got to come back. You got to see what we're doing. Let us know what you want to hear. And Alex, is there anything else you need to plug or talk about before we hit the road?
We want to say thank you to our sponsor, Liquid Death.
Thank you, Liquid Death.
Murder your thirst.
Murder your thirst. Consider my thirst murdered. Until next time.